Një zotëri që për çudinë time ndoshta si gazetar është një ushtarak i cili është i gatshëm të flasë për media, ndonë është në krye të një procesi i cili ditëve të fundit po vërtetohet si shumë i vështirë, por të njëjtën kohë dhe shumë i ndjeshëm. Fjala është për Major General Nick Kaplan, i cili është shef i zyrës së koordinatorit të TMK-s, ndër tjera edhe udhëheqës i procesit të shpërbërjes së trupave të mbrojtjes së Kosovës. General, good evening. Thank you very much for being here with us. I just told to our viewers that it is quite surprising to me being a military official and being ready to talk to the media while being the head of a process which the last days has been proven to be very difficult but also sensitive. So the most logical first question is how difficult it is to deal with a process which involves many unsatisfied people?
Well, thank you for inviting me here this evening, and it's good to be here. Thank you. You talk about protests and so on, and I'm not sure that I would recognise or understand what's going on in those terms. We have an interesting change process going on at the moment with the KPC and the KSF, and that's understood, it's well known about, and indeed it's described within Kosovo law and within the Kosovo constitution. What we're dealing with at the moment is the detail of how this change can be achieved, and it clearly is important that people understand the detail of what's going on. And my purpose, I think, here this evening is just to help that process of explaining what is going on in detail, in particular in relation to the dissolution of the KPC.
Are you talking, when you say describing in detail, are you talking within different officials, which includes also the KPC headquarters, or are you dealing also with those members of those KPC barracks which openly express their dissatisfaction with anything going on so far?
Well, I talk about the community of the KPC and those with authority for the KPC. There are a number of stakeholders who are involved in this process at the moment, including the government, of course, including NATO and KFOR, including my office of the coordinator's office, and most importantly, including the KPC themselves. So it's important that we all work together and we all have a common understanding about where we're going, because it's for a very real purpose. Kosovo requires this change to happen. It is enshrined in the constitution and in law, and we need to make sure that we can take these changes forward.
Obviously you don't really agree with those members of KPC, of those barracks which are not really happy with the process and especially with the pension law. Why they are not right to feel like that? Could you explain that a little bit?
Well, there's important context to understand here. We know that the KPC is coming to an end, and that's something that, as I say, has been described within Kosovo law. And there are important building blocks, stepping stones to put in place to enable this to happen. One of the most, perhaps the most important stepping stone is the pension law, the KPC pension law. And there was an attempt, you may recall, there was an attempt last year to produce what was called, I think, an early retirement pension law for the KPC, which did not succeed. It did not get through government.
Why not?
I think, I mean, I wasn't here at the time, and so I can't, I can only go on the view that I've picked up. But I'm aware that it was never seriously staffed within the government. It was never costed. It was never fully funded or understood how it would be funded. And therefore it was never seriously put to the test. And of course a law of this nature does need to be properly tested, because a pension law will endure for many, many years. So with the benefit of having seen the experience from that early attempt at a draft last year, the government this year, together with international community members, have been putting a lot of effort into defining the right and the appropriate pension law for the KPC, which recognises the service of KPC members over the time of the KPC, so for the last 9 years.
Could you talk a little bit, what are the differences, if you are aware of the differences between the previous law, which simply didn't go through, and this one, which in principle now is approved by the Parliament? Where are those differences, and are exactly those differences which are making some of the KPC members really unhappy?
Well, the previous draft included issues and measures which went well beyond the provision of a pension, and so it was perhaps a law which defined a context for the end of the KPC rather than the pension arrangements themselves. We were very careful